We're here with our special guest, Dr. Janet Hall, sex expert, author of 6 books and 20 CDs. Dr. Jan is a professional speaker, psychologist and hypnotherapist. Welcome, Dr. Jan.
Thank you.
In this episode, we're going to discuss what happens to romance before and after the baby's arrival, for dads that is. So, Dr. Jan, how important is sex in a relationship during parenthood?
I think sex, no matter what stage of life you're in, is at least 25% of the worth of the relationship. And I like to think about how we're soulmates,
Right.
mind mates, where we can talk about things we believe in and have similar values and beliefs. We're in love from the heart, and we should be in lust with the body.
That's great. That sounds great. Let's have more of that. So, for dads, what are some of them perhaps lack sexual interest before and after the baby arrives at that critical time?
Well, you know, the woman's body changes, and a lot of girls who maybe have been so used to being thin suddenly see themselves as being fat.
Right, yep.
I think nowadays, Regan, most men are not shallow anymore about looks, but you've got to reassure your wife, your partner, that she is beautiful no matter how much she bulges.
Right.
So that's the most important thing, you know, to keep her feeling good about her body.
Yep.
And your desire, of course, you know, is should be normal, should be still there.
Yeah. Do you think some dads have an issue with that at the time?
Well, I think shallow men
Yep.
will just switch off, you know, the sex drive because they collude with this terrible myth that, you know, pregnancy is fat.
Right.
And that's usually all baby, let's face it.
Obviously, men can get stressed and have unhealthy lifestyles. Can that have an impact on their sexual desires?
Yes, well, it's very well proven that, you know, you are what you eat.
Yep.
And in a fit man who's, you know, exercising, eating well, not boozing too much, certainly cut out your smoking.
Yep.
Because, you know, your vascular system is just, you know, really important in terms of being able to get it up.
Right.
And
Yep.
keep it up.
Yep.
And also get the interest up. Because there's 2 parts to sex. There's the desire, which is what happens up here, and the arousal, which is what happens down there. So you need to take care of yourself for both of those things to happen.
Right. So boozing and drinking and smoking are out in terms of, you know, the old days when you're younger and you thought you'd go out for a night out in the town. It's just kind of...
No, you have to clean up your act.
Okay. All right. Especially if you want to have children, I imagine.
Yes,
Yep.
that's right. Healthy you, healthy baby.
Great stuff. That's true. Yes. Well, I'm a father, so my baby's healthy, and I was healthy at the time, I think. So, so a lot of things are happening for the mother around the time that the baby's about to come, and probably just before and after. What can husbands do to support their partners at that time?
Yeah, look, the guy really does have to become compassionate to all of those hormones which are racing through her body.
Yep.
Especially first-time pregnancy, when the woman's, you know, totally fearful around all of the changes and how will she cope. And depending on the birth too, some women unfortunately may have a tear if it's a natural birth, and they might be in pain, or if they've had a caesarean, you know, it takes quite a while to get over an anaesthetic. And a major cut to the abdomen.
Yes.
So, you know, he's got to be sensitive to her physical needs, but also know that she needs as much physical support as possible. You know, especially that graveyard shift at night, whether she's breastfeeding or not, the guy should help.
Well, I've been there, done that.
Good
I know
on
what
you.
it's like. It's a challenge, but, you know, I think you'll benefit as a father and as a partner. The more you offer, the more you give.
Yeah, well, you're a team.
Yeah, parenting is definitely a team effort, definitely. So there are obviously quite a lot of everyday problems, and we've mentioned some already, but do you have an idea of some easy solutions that dads can use to overcome some of those everyday issues?
Well, the biggest everyday issue is sleep deprivation for the woman, but also maybe for the man. So you need to actually sit down and work out some kind of time schedule where you can back each other up. You know, that the hardest time for the woman, usually with the baby, is what we call the arsenic hour. That's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
You know, so typically she's trying to get a meal, and she's trying to feed the baby, settle the baby, and that's usually the baby's hardest time. So, you know, if the dad could just step in and make that an easy time for her, and, you know, take over the cooking, you know, get light and easy in for a couple of weeks if you have to, if you can't cook. but somehow or other take the load off the girl. And then she'll appreciate you, and so she might be more, frisky.
More frisky, yeah.
And if she's not sleep deprived, she will be.
That's true.
But, a crying baby is not an aphrodisiac.
No, well, that's definitely a big question. What impact, do babies have on the spark for couples? A lot of them obviously can lose it. And what can they do to try and keep that spark alive?
Well, look, I think for the first 3 months, you got Buckley's. I think you should just forget about it. But after 3 months, that teamwork should start happening again. And I talk about how your brain is your most important sex organ, but your tongue is your most important sex tool to talk things through. So that's when the husband and the guy and the girl should sit down together and start to talk about how do we make the time and what will happen during that time. And so, you used to leave sex to the last thing.
Yep.
No use doing that anymore. Baby goes to sleep. Oh, that's a funny pun. Baby goes down, you go down.
That is a big issue, I suppose. I mean, communication's a key part in a healthy sexual relationship for mums and dads.
Yeah, well, the tongue is the sex tool and you have to talk. And guys often aren't good at that. So I think that the pregnancy toolkit for a guy should be a communication skills book.
Yep.
And maybe even some coaching or talking with other guys who've already had babies.
Okay.
Get prepared.
So I suppose that's leads into how can dads help their partners to be more interested in sex. During the early stages of parenthood, obviously it's the most difficult.
Yes.
Communication's a thing. What other things can they do to help?
I really think the key is massage, and more massage.
Okay.
All the women that I work with now who are not interested in sex will say that if they can get relaxed, they'll get into the mood. So, a busy mother with a baby has to have switch off time.
Yep.
So if you say, honey, I'm going to give you a massage, lay down on your tummy, curl your head on your arms, and you get to work with a nice massage oil.
Yep.
And don't go for the rope. Take your time and get her relaxed first. Okay. And I really don't think most women will say no once they've had a massage, but to sex, to follow afterwards.
So I've been doing it right. That's what it's good to know. It's good to know I'm doing it the right way. So you talked about dads being not so good at communicating about sex, and probably communication in general. Let's be honest, men were not the best at it. What can they do to communicate their sexual needs to their partner, or sexual desires? How can they communicate those?
Look, it's not easy because you have to find the right time.
Yep.
And in the bedroom is not the right time. Okay. So the right time is usually when baby's asleep and when you're having a meal. I really think, not necessarily at the beginning, but it's all about the body is receptive when it's not hungry or tired, and so will the brain be. So maybe give her a glass of wine, and help her prepare the meal. Promise her that you'll clean up afterwards, and then say, look, honey, I'm feeling a bit horny. It's just not been on the agenda. Can we schedule some times in, or how do I know how's best to approach you? Because so many women say, look, he comes at me like this, just the 3-piece bowling ball, and really what she needs is for you to put your arm around her while you're watching TV and kiss her neck and tell her that she's beautiful. All of those things are how to get a woman receptive.
So a bit of romance is important.
Romance, yes. And what about one single red rose when you come home? She doesn't expect a dozen, just one to show that you're thinking romantically about her.
Well, the other thing I suppose is what you do. How can a sex therapist help parents, help particularly new parents or the ones past that 3-month stage who might be having some problems?
Well, that is often the case, that the guy will call me and say, look, I don't want to be pushy, but I just don't know how to get her inspired, and she seems to have gone completely flat.
Right.
So, well, I'm the sex therapist, I'm the mediator. So, you come in together so that I can coach you both and hopefully get you, towards a middle ground. And give you homework, sexercises. Yes, exercises, which I'll encourage you to be scheduling in. And just so long as the guy can show that he is patient, he does have compassion, and he doesn't expect that she's going to swing from the chandeliers.
Okay.
You know. And so that's how a sex therapist can help.
All right. So realistic, practical.
Realistic, practical coaching.
Great stuff.
When nobody's made wrong.
That's good. That's what you need.
Yeah.
But I suppose the other question I have is, do you have many situations where it might be that the woman is more reserved to the sex, but perhaps the husband's not, or the partner's not, the father's not?
Well, you know, a famous sex therapist said the person who says no to sex is the person who has power in the relationship. Interesting thought. So some men will say no if they think the woman is henpecking, dominating, demanding. So he'll just say no as a form of, you know, detachment, and I'm taking my power back.
Right.
But I also notice there are some men, I call it entrepreneur syndrome, where these guys are very, very highly ambitious. So they channel everything into achieving, being successful, and they forget about romance, they forget about lust, they forget about their sexuality. It's sad, isn't it?
It is pretty sad.
You don't know anybody like that, do you?
No, I don't actually. But I suppose it's very easy to forget your personal relationships when you're like that, when you're that dominated. But it's unfortunate, because in the long run, you're the one that's going to suffer the most for that.
That's right. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. Without having a loving partner, you've really got nothing.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Jan. I mean, that's some great insights, very useful advice. I've taken a few notes. I'll put them away. If you would like more information on Dr. Jan, just go to our website, www.roomtogrow.tv. Bye for now.